Nitin, and if trust me, if I
Yes.
mispronounce your name,
No, that's good. That's good.
okay,
Nathan. Yes.
okay, great, because I'm from the great state of Georgia, man, and we're known to mess stuff up. So,
All
Nitin
right.
Gower, how are you doing
Yeah.
on this wonderful day?
I'm doing great. Weather is a bit cold. I'm being in Tampa, Florida. I was in New York, moved here specifically for warm weather. But these first few months of the year are a bit cold, I would say, for my taste. But other
Okay.
than that, all good.
Yeah,
Thanks for
man.
asking.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I've been to Tampa a few times. Beautiful place. I
Yeah.
went for a John Maxwell conference, a couple of them actually. Um,
Okay.
Beautiful place to visit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I won't ever pull the trigger to move to Florida, man. It's like paradise. It looks like.
Yeah. I
So
mean, few months are hot. I know, like July, August, and are like really hot, so you don't go out much. But other than that, it's great. And even in those months, like it would rain afternoon time, and it would cool off a bit, and then the rest of the evening is fine. Yeah,
yes, sir. So let's kind of dive
yeah.
into it. Like, do me a favor and tell everybody who you are, like where you came from, and kind of
Sure,
like your journey up to this point.
sure. So I'm Nitin Gore, the founder and CEO of Bloomster. My life's journey has been anything but linear, but all those twists and turns have shaped me who I am and brought me where I am today. And I'll just touch on the relevant piece, which is mostly when I entered the professional world after my graduation. So I'll touch
Mhm.
on that piece because that's more relevant to our conversation. But the seeds of what happened now were sowed way back in my childhood. I'll mention those as well, wherever they're relevant. So I started my career in technology right after earning my degree in computer science. After 6 years in tech, I started as a junior most like programmer analyst, rose up to being a project manager, and then I pivoted to finance, where I spent nearly 18 years at Citigroup, and I was in Manhattan, New York City. Um, and those were like great days. I really enjoyed working in the finance world. I started again from project manager. I took like a way down pay cut. Money was never a factor, but I just wanted to explore new sector, new learning. So I started as an analyst and then rose up to being a director when I left Citi, yeah, while I was serving in its capital markets division. And as I said, working in both in tech and finance in those fast-paced, high-pressured global environments gave me a great opportunity, great exposure. Citi specifically being a global bank, Citi is in 100 plus countries. So that was a great exposure. You can look at my finance career, those 18, almost 18 years, into two halves. The first half was just amazing. Like obviously from tech to finance, everything was new. I had to roll up my sleeves. Working 60, 70, 80 hours a week was a norm like when I started. And obviously I was young. I really enjoyed that. I would do it all over again. So there was no issue around that. The exciting part was that you're working with top professionals in the world. So everybody like from top universities, Harvard, Wharton, you name it, they all want to be in finance at that time. Finance was way the top during the early 2000s. This was around 2006, 2007 when I pivoted. Tech was there, but it was like close second. Let's just say now tech is over finance. Yes, we all know that, but finance was big, and that's why I pivoted. I could see like a good career trajectory there. And but even with all the prestige and success of being at one of the top financial institutions in the world, I had this persistent void, a feeling that there's something more to life, something beyond that corporate hustle, something more meaningful. So I embarked on a personal journey of discovery, and what I found led me to create Bloomster. And Bloomster is a platform to equip children with essential life skills they need to thrive in the real world. You'll see me say this real world, thrive in the real world quite a number of times in this conversation. Because at the end of the day, it's the success is not just about career milestones or material achievement. In my view, it's about how we navigate through life. It's about how fulfilling that journey is. It certainly holds true for me, and I discovered that. I wish I could tell you, Dwayne, that it just happened for me, that I just woke up one day and I had this idea and I started working on it. It took me like almost a decade, like entire second half, let's say, of that period at City to actually think through what I want from this life, what's more meaningful to me. And then I eventually sort of left City rolled up my sleeves and started building this platform. And that was early 2022. And since then, I've been working on Bloomster, and that's been my passion, my calling, whatever you call it. So yeah, so in short, there's a lot happening in that discovery phase. I'm sure we'll get into that as we go along, but that's what happened. And I'm looking forward to our conversation and diving into greater insights with you today.
Man, I'm listening to your story because I want to make sure I was taking some notes as you was talking because for anyone who is younger than we are,
Mhm.
I want them to catch something very key that you said. So you had a background in, after school you had a background in project management, a background in finance. You worked at
Yeah.
Citigroup. You became a director working with
Yes.
top thinkers
Yes.
and businessmen and women all across the world.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
the
Yes.
key that you said is that money wasn't an issue. It was like
Yeah.
you enjoyed the grind. The grind was about 70 to
Yeah.
80 hours a week. Um,
Yes.
and for the young person out there who likes to chase the money,
Yeah.
I want them to hear that because at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, one of the most important things that I heard, I mean, everything was important, but the thing that really rung in my ear was there was a
Mm-hmm.
persistent void. Now,
Yeah.
for a person who is listening, who may not
Mm-hmm.
understand what that persistent void is or what it
Mm-hmm.
feels like or what it looks like, can
Mm-hmm.
you kind of like describe that in a little bit more?
Sure. No, that's a great question. So, um, it's just that when you are going day to day to your work, like, do you feel fulfilled? Like, when you, at the end of the day, when you say, okay, I'm done for the day, did you feel that you made a difference? Or let me put it slightly differently, that you being in that role, whatever you're doing, is that making a difference? And difference, everybody defines their own way. I always had this inclination that I wanted to do something more than just for myself. I wanted to do something more for others and all. I don't know where that came from, maybe from my childhood and all. Um, but it was so much to do with whatever transaction I was working on or a trade that I was working on. It was very limited, and I was good at it. I could do that work for with my eyes closed, because obviously you do it over and over. It was 9, 10 years I was already doing it, so it became sort of a repetitive thing for me, and that feeling that I need to feel satisfied when I'm doing something. And obviously, I was doing some other research and all at that time. So that idea grew more and more in me. I wanted to do something in education. I wanted to do something for children. And I'll touch on why I got to these things. But going back to your question, so that feeling was not it was there and suddenly showed up. It grew from slowly from bigger and bigger. At some point, it was so big that I had to focus. And as humans, sometimes it's easier to look away from your real issues that you have. So I kind of in the second half also pivoted and focused on my own learning, knowing that I have this issue. That's why it took me so long. But in my learning, I did my MBA from NYU at that time. I did my CFA, Chartered Financial Analysis. That's a very rigorous exam, 3-year thing in finance. I did some other technology and some other courses. So I just focused on my learning. And in that learning phase, I was that feeling grew even more. You know what? I have this life. I need to do something more meaningful about with this, not just these transactions. Because being in Manhattan, I had to take clients out, dinners and whatnot, social events, US Open, all that kind of stuff was happening at the same time. So from that, the banker lifestyle and all, living in Manhattan, I was in West Village, everything was great. But that was not satisfying. I hope people understand that if that is your thing, you will limit yourself. Everybody has limitless possibilities. It's about just pushing those boundaries. And that's the feeling that I'm talking about was growing with my learning and all. I don't, but did I answer your question?
No, absolutely, absolutely, and thank
Mm-hmm.
you for that. Like what you
Uh-huh.
just said, I kind of
Mm-hmm.
described as like there's a burning desire within, and you don't necessarily
Yes.
know what it is when you're so focused on
Yeah.
the grind. And I keep calling it the grind
Yes.
because that's really what it feels
Uh-huh.
like. Like you're just constantly,
Yeah.
your day
Uh-huh.
looks very similar from day to day
Uh-huh.
to day, and the only
Mm-hmm.
differences that you see in that day generally comes from your workplace.
Yeah.
So constantly doing the grind, you get
Mm-hmm.
to the point to where yeah, bills are paid. Yeah, I got some
Mm-hmm.
pretty decent relationships, but they're not
Mm-hmm.
great relationships because I don't have time to invest in them.
Yeah.
No bills are suffering, but it's just
Yeah.
something in me that's just burning to get out. And I love
Yes.
the way that you described that. And I hope people really heard it. And trust me, I'm telling you right now, if you're not paying attention, this is going to be a conversation you want to go back and listen to over and over and over again, because what he just described was profound. Now, moving forward, how did you, because the first thing I heard, you went on a journey of self learning, which
Yeah.
again,
Self-learning. Yes.
I love that. And man, I don't want to
Hmm.
take away from this conversation because I really
Hmm.
want to keep pulling from you. When
Yeah.
you went on that journey of self learning, what did you learn
Hmm.
about yourself? What was one of some of the most important things that you learned about yourself?
No, great question. So I'll take this and I'll combine it with my like why I even created Bloomster,
Sure.
why how Bloomster came into existence, and why I so feel so passionate about its mission. So there are two big things that I identified in my this whole learning journey, if you will, or this discovery phase. Uh, One is related to technology, but I'll touch on this education related first. Maybe that's what is more relevant, I feel like, with your audience. As I said, I got exposure to work with top professionals across various jurisdictions. I was coordinating with people in UK, Hong Kong, India, Singapore, and I had exposure with the tech firms when I was in technology. And with City, I was coordinating with top law firms, accounting firms, tax firms. So you can think like best people across the board in various in disciplines. And what I was doing, so professional world I was seeing, and obviously my learning, my upbringing, and all, and I was very keenly observing my colleagues, my friends, and my classmates at my MBA, NYU, and also noticing what their kids were going through in their education and how it was contributing to their growth and development. What I found was the biggest gap was that while schools were doing a great job teaching academics, but they were often overlooking the essential life skills that are essential for the future of those childs, that truly would define their future. So I saw there was a big gap between the academic world and the professional world. I could see what was required in the professional world, and that's what I was saying. The seeds were sowed, even for me. I mean, I could see I wish somebody had guided me early on when I was a child. That okay, these things are more important, and what I'm talking about is more of the social and emotional aspect of it. I could see a very senior person just go off track in those meetings, high pressured meetings, when they don't have a handle on their own emotions. They don't understand themselves. The self awareness thing is big for me. So, and I would put myself in that same bucket. I was also because I rose and I didn't have this formal structured way of thinking about these skills and all. And I would think, why didn't I learn? Because to be honest, when I was in my early 30s, that's when the things were starting to sort of shape up for me. And that's when I was doing this MBA learning. And I would go to Barnes and Noble, sit in their self improvement section, this book, this article, that blog, all of that was going on. And that's when you start to do things. And many of my friends and colleagues and all, I would see the same thing would happen. 20s would just go by trying to figure out, oh man, I'm out of college, I need to figure out how to earn money, job, and whatnot. And then slowly when you are progressing your career, you didn't have any professional sort of proper structured way of thinking about what's more important in when you are senior. Yes, when you're junior, you are just doing the, I would loosely use it, grunt work. um, but when you're senior, you are expected to lead teams, you are expected to mentor people and all, and that's when these things just pop up. Man, I didn't handle that meeting really well. Why did I erupt like that? Why did I talk to that junior person? I should have coached them more differently. So those things, and then you try to learn new stuff. But I feel like you are already late in that process. This process should have started, and my research and all in our early adolescent years. That's what I'm focused on. That's what Bloomster is focused on. So, and I'll talk about the technology piece. We'll come back to this one because what's required. So, technology, obviously, with my technology background and all, I kept in touch. I could see how the development is happening. I wasn't worried about the tech advancements; they were happening fast. But I was actually worried about this pace at which things were changing. As humans, we need some time to adjust to things. So if you look at it, let's take it from the turn of the century, right around 98 when Google came in, handed you that entire internet. Internet came before that, but then again, like every company was creating websites and all, but Google is the one that organized it to you, gave everything to you in that one search box, right? That accelerated everything. And then social media came early 2003, 2004. And then smartphone came. The combination of smartphones and social media like took things to a whole different level. We know, like, at the time when it came, we were so mesmerized with with that technology that, okay, friend requests, like this thing, that thing, sharing pictures and all, we called them social networks. Little did we know, after a decade we realized, okay, they are like, not social net, they're making us antisocial, unhappy, in many cases depressed. But it took us a decade to figure that out. Now there's ample research to show us that thing. What I'm highlighting here is, as humans, we first of all get into this whole thing of like, oh, new technology, we're so like, fascinated by it. We try to use it for us, no, it's working for us, but then we realize what's happening now, we're in the same thing with AI, and that's really concerning for me. With this, I think if you're not focused, if you're not taking the right steps now, we are not even on the same planet if you compare social media, smartphone, that kind of thing with AI. I mean, this is like a paradigm shift. The only thing I feel like holding AI is hardware. The day we have quantum computers, and where they're already talking about that it will be a reality soon, and faster chips, all bets are off. Those sci-fi movies are not going to look sci-fi. We are headed in that direction. And I have, like, I keep in touch, so I would read stuff here and there. I think at this stage, even we used to hang our hat on, okay, AI or machines can never be as creative as humans. But let me tell you, I'm sure you must have experienced that as well. These things are capable of doing way more than, like, way more creative stuff than humans even today. And this is in like a baby stage right now, not even like a 2-year old. I mean, give it another 5 years and you'll see with that, like fast processing chips and all. I'm pretty sure that the world in 10 years from now is going to look so much different. And I strongly feel in that world, any individual would need to continuously learn new stuff, even in our age doing, like, so you've seen, like, I've pivoted careers from tech to finance, and now in a way back to tech and education in a way. But that trend is going to accelerate to a whole different level, exponentially faster. Like, this cycle, let's say right now people are pivoting in 2 years or so, it's going to shrink down to 6 months or so, because AI will continuously change the game. So that individual will need to continuously learn new stuff, adapt to change, be resilient, have a growth mindset, take risks, learn from their failure, and do this over and over again, because every 6 months something new is coming. Now machines are doing, are doing the same thing which you are doing. You thought that you'll have like a 10 years from, machines are now smart enough that they are figured out, they've created those algorithms. I can talk about finance. Trading jobs have been eliminated in the last 10, 15 years. Even before AI, those crude algorithms that most of the big firms wrote were trading. Like that market, you must have seen those movies, finance movies, where traders are sitting in line in those big buildings, taking orders and all. That's not how things work now. Even 5 years back, it's all algorithms. You put in the order and goes and trades. Market is like some machine sitting in some farm out there. That's what the market is right now. That trend is going to accelerate with AI algorithms. It's a whole different level. So, and you may, I don't know, you noticed or not, World Economic Forum came out with a report very recently, Future of Jobs. If you read that report, it confirms, and they're already talking about all humans need to take this seriously and look to enhance their skills. If they're doing X, they need to train themselves to do Y and figure out what else they can do. Hundreds of millions of jobs will be displaced by machines, algorithms, and smart, intelligent machines. So if that is happening, we need to start training our children to deal with that kind of environment. I don't want my child, I have a 4-year-old, when she is out there in the professional world is going to slap you around like, okay, do this, do that. A child who's not self-aware, or the individual in that environment, who they are, what they really want to do, then they will be constantly worried about, oh, what's coming next, what's coming my way, I need to figure this out, that bills are piling up, stuff like that. If you want to deal with that kind of stuff, obviously, like, the convention system is what it is. But if you are connecting these dots the way I'm connecting, obviously, like everybody's going to do their own research, but that world will be dominated by intelligent machines. Constant change and extraordinary unpredictability. We won't know what's coming in a year from now. Even now, we don't know how the world is going to look like 2 years from now. So that's the second piece. And as I said, the education piece is like a big one for me. So combining the two, I thought, okay, something has to be done. I'm not saying academics are not required, essential, but we need to complement it with something else, and that's the holistic education that I thought is important. And going back to what you're saying, what you asked, in my learning phase, I did a lot of research. What is it that is required? So I listed down skills. I started with skills. Okay, self awareness, my number one, self confidence, self discipline, self regulation, self management, emotional regulation, resilience. I went on and on and on. And it became a list of 25 plus skills. Then I thought, okay, how do I organize it? As humans, we need some sort of framework. So I came up with these 5 dimensions, is what I call on the platform: social, emotional, intellectual, mindfulness, and physical. And then I organized these 25 plus skills into these 5 dimensions, and that became the holistic framework, how Bloomster works. And we started creating courses to teach these skills to them. I know I went on and on, but that's the whole story, like how things shaped up and how the platform came into being.
So you answered that perfectly. So don't worry about how long you went. I mean, I think what you just described was a
Uh-huh.
lot for people to think like so I contract at the cyber
Mm-hmm.
center. I contract at the Cyber Center of Excellence. So
Uh-huh. Oh,
that
nice.
being said, a lot of what you're saying, I trust
Uh-huh.
me, I am very well connected with it because I
Uh-huh.
understand that to be a thing. I also want
Uh-huh.
to inject oh man, I don't want to say that just yet. Like this question I think is an awesome question because in conjunction with this question, not only do I believe, and I correct me if I'm wrong, not only do I believe that what you're saying is that technology will disconnect human from human, but it has a potential to where it disconnects you from yourself because you
Uh-huh.
stop using the ability to think and you will allow
Yeah.
it to think for you. And if we
Mm-hmm.
understand what AI really is, it is really machine learning. So the
Mm-hmm.
more information you put into it, it is constantly evolving and growing and
Yeah. Yeah.
understanding. That goes into the database of it. So now it has the ability to come up with solutions faster. It
Mm-hmm.
has the ability to give you outcomes faster. It has the
Mm-hmm.
ability to write code for you. So when you
Yes.
look at it, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but again, when you look at it, again, this concept that is not going to go anywhere, by the way, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
here for the duration. So this kind of goes back into the adaptability piece that you were talking about, which equates to how resilient a human can be. So when you
Mm-hmm.
understand what technology is and what it means, not just for now, but for the future, it disconnects us from one another to a degree, like you mentioned. Social
Mm-hmm.
media is really more so of an anti-social media because I really don't know who
Yeah.
you are. You can be anybody
Right.
that you want to be behind the scenes, but do I
Yeah.
really know you? Do I really have a
Yeah.
great relationship with you? No, it's really
Yeah.
just how I feel about what's
Mm-hmm.
happening on the screen. But it's going
Right.
to get to the point if I keep
Mm-hmm.
going to it to think for me, it has the ability
Yeah.
to disconnect me from myself. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. No, I mean, I have many thoughts here. So one, I'll touch on, like, exactly the same thing, how I think about it. So this thing that you raised and what was concerning to me, um, how we are just letting it think for us. You might remember, like, when we were writing our essays, paper, and all for school, I would open blank Word document, stare at that white screen, and obviously think about the question that I need to answer in my paper. And you really push those creative muscles, so, and then you come up with something. But nowadays, you put that one prompt, it spits out 1,000 beautifully written words. You cannot even imagine writing that kind of language and all. And that's the starting point for these kids nowadays.
Mhm.
And then they would make edits and all. What I'm highlighting here is that we got to develop those creative muscles and all. These kids would never get to develop those muscles. So it will be so much challenging if they are left on their own to think for themselves, to think creatively. Okay, now I'm in this situation. How do I figure out stuff? So let's yes, it's good that they should be using. I'm not saying I don't want to come across as though AI is bad. The future with AI is incredible. We're going to learn so much stuff. It's just that we need to learn how to use it for our benefit, be wise at using it, where to use it, where not to use it, how much to use it. So this was one key thing. Like our kids should understand that, because if you're not teaching them, they would just like quickly get so used to it without like thinking about it. So that was like a big piece for me when I was thinking about it. So let's train our kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just the other applications and all, and I see a lot of like specific domains that these firms are focusing on. Law firm has its own AI, and accounting has its own AI now. And I was like just evaluating every business would be affected. And I'll take one more example. When I was in New York City, I was close to New York Institute of Fashion and Technology, and I would see kids like just sketching out, because they would think about whatever dresses they were designing in that fashion institute, and they would sketch out and all. And now I can see AI has all that data from social media, what is trending, what is not trending. So all those sketch work and all, it can draw amazingly, like what ChatGPT thing can do. And then think about like from factory to the stores and all, because what these brands need is to figure out what's trending and produce that material, put it in the stores, and then like come up with the new stuff. So if they AI can figure out what's trending, and it can draw and put stuff in factories, if the whole supply chain is managed by AI, it's going to eliminate so many jobs and all. So you pick any industry, you will see same thing happening. So now we need to step back and figure out what we need to do, um, to better sort of, yes, this thing is inevitable, but as humans, what do we need to do so that we still have some role in this whole society and all. There are two schools of thought I would add here, that you would see Elon Musk and a bunch of others are like trying to compete with that. Neuralinks is one good example. They're trying to put some chip in our brain which can integrate. So that's like our effort to make humans also to get to some level where they can compete with AI.
Yeah.
And the other school of thought, a lot of people, where I am, is us to be more human, more connected, more social. Let's like connect with each other, build our communities, so that even if AI is like building this whole different world, we know what we want as humans. We are
Yes.
social beings, so that's where I want to focus on. That's where these skills come in. That's where like Bloomster comes in. So I'm in this world. So I just want to, yeah,
I so
that's
love
my.
that. Yeah, I
Mhm.
so love that response, and thank you for the details of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Because I have a philosophy, and I've had this philosophy for a long time.
Mhm.
And this is not necessarily me downplaying or talking bad about a thing. It's just me identifying the thing for what it is. Because
Yeah,
when you look at it, the education system, for the most part, it doesn't necessarily teach us how to think. It teaches us what to think. Well, if you take
yeah,
that and you put AI on top of that, it just exacerbates the same problem that already exists. So
yeah.
now, instead of me thinking, I know
Mhm.
how to think based upon the system that I was raised in, and then
Mhm.
you give me AI. So I'm sorry, not how to think, what to think. I know what to think on the system that I was raised in, but I just don't know how to get to the solution about what I'm thinking. So now I go to AI and tell AI to do it for me, and that
Yeah,
just continues the again to prolong the same problem that exists. So I love the
yeah,
fact that you say that we have to teach our children not how to think, and it's not that AI is bad. It's not that robotics is bad,
yeah,
because it does great, wonderful works in the car
yeah,
industry and things of that nature. It does more work faster,
yeah,
more efficient than generally
right,
what humans can do. But then that creates another problem. Now you got humans with less job, but I don't want to get into that.
yeah,
So getting to the point of teaching humans how to think, you that burning desire turned into the point um, of you teaching children how to think with a beautiful and amazing platform that I kind of went into and learned a lot about it myself, called
Mhm.
Bloomster. How did you
Right.
get to the discovery of Bloomster?
As I said, like first I figured out like what would that world look like, and then it was all about what that individual would need, and then I like came up with these skills, because I was looking at, as I said, like I was observing my. I don't have a 10-year-old, but a middle schooler. Um, but then what those kids were learning in schools and all, and how it was contributing to their growth and development, and could they take it to the next level. Because then I would talk to somebody who's just about to go to college, writing applications and all, what do you want to do? And they would have no idea. Like, and they said, like, I'll start college and I'll figure it out. I think that's like a very inefficient process. Nothing wrong with that. A lot of people do figure it out after that. And life is about experience. I have heard that argument. But that, in my opinion, is a bit inefficient. I want you to still, like, it's not like, if you know what you want to do before you get into college and pick the right course and all, um, that it would be easier for you. I'd like, add here a few things, because in my this whole life, and this is also important to me, two things very important, and why I pivoted or left city: meaningful work and meaningful relationship. I'll talk about meaningful work, because that's what led me, on this journey, on this path. Um, Everybody, like, you must have heard this several times, that we all have a unique talent. It's just about finding what you're good at and doing it, right? And first, when are out of college, like, that thought even is not there, but at some point it does come. And then I can tell you about myself. It's a funny thing, but I would send that probe. What am I good at? What do I really like to do? That probe would go and would come back empty. I had no idea, after graduation and all. And it's not an easy question to answer. I mean, it requires a lot of work, and it's not like a overnight kind of thing as well. The way I see it, and many, like, few individuals would get it right away and they would embark on that journey. But many of us, including me, have to struggle. There are two aspects to that, the way I see it. It's about finding your lane and then walking that lane. Both are, like, very challenging tasks. My quest here with Bloomster is to help with both. Um, when I talk about these skills, like, the self-awareness, what is self-awareness? Self-awareness is about understanding yourself, your thoughts and emotions, your strengths and weaknesses, your values and beliefs, what matters to you, why it matters to you, your behavior and how it impacts others, so your social aspects. In short, it's about who you are. And the more you know yourself, the better you'll be able to make those decisions when you have to figure out what the choices that you are given. So these skills would help you figure out the lane. And even when you know your lane, it's not easy to, like, day one, oh, I want to be this. You have to walk that lane, and years of, like, rigorous work on that lane. That's when you really figure out, okay, yes, this is what I'm good at. Michael Phelps didn't become, he knew he was going to be a swimmer, but he had to grind every day, 4 a.m. in the morning, in that pool for so many years to become who he eventually become. I mean, we look at the success when it's already there, and we think, okay, but we have to look at the entire journey. So my quest with this is to help kids early on to figure out what their lane is, and then, like, help them walk that lane. um, so that's what Bloomster is. I listed all those skills, organized them in these 5 dimensions, and we created courses around each skill. So we have course on, as I said, self-awareness. Exploring you, a journey to self-awareness is the name of the course. I'll talk more about course, like, if we need to get into that, because that's the unique part about Bloomster, how we teach, the delivery of the content. Because I knew that there was no structured or engaging way when I was just doing this research. And as I've said several times, that these were essential. These are the skills that will determine success. Because at the end of the day, I mean, at this age, early adolescent years, it's not just about grades. It's about handling setbacks, managing emotions, cultivating confidence, resilience, because that's what will define success for these kids in the future, or like how they navigate through life in general. So that was my thing. And then I organized all of this into one platform. Obviously, I was talking to experts, PhDs, I was doing my own research, reading books and all, but that's how this platform came together. Yeah.
Man, this is so good, and I thank you for sharing that with us. As I'm listening to this, there is a consistency of conversation. The same conversations that you had to have to create this platform so that the conversations that you have now created a algorithm, or not so much an algorithm, but a learning environment for the child to become more self-aware, understand how their emotions work, to express themselves in a way that's not only honorable to their family name but honorable to the creator that created them. It's the same
Mhm.
conversations I have with adults. There is no difference
Yes.
in the conversations.
No.
And
No.
I love
Yeah.
that because I remember when my kids were young, I used to get so
Mhm.
upset when my wife would talk to my son like, "Goo goo gaga." I don't want to hear that. Talk to him like an adult because he has the
Yes.
ability to understand more what you believe here. He just can't say
Mhm.
it yet, but it's
Yeah.
processing. So speak
Oh,
English
yeah.
to him, not
Absolutely.
that crazy stuff. So I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
to do something. I want to
Uh-huh.
do something because I don't
Uh-huh.
believe I would be able to do you or Bloomster any justice if I don't allow you to walk us through this platform. I think that's what the people need to see because I went through it and when I told you, my friend, I was blown away. I was literally
Mhm.
blown away. So if you
Yeah.
don't mind, take a few minutes to kind of walk us through, and I will attempt to drive as best as I possibly can, sir.
All right. No, I mean, obviously, you're on our homepage. So, as we say, like, this is my mission: empower young children with essential life skills for a successful and fulfilling life. That fulfilling word, I would underline that. That's the key part of it, because success, like, as I said, like material success, whatever you define it, but you need to really get behind this fulfilling experience. That's when you really enjoy life. Then we, as I said, first thing is, you obviously you can go through the page, but if you have an idea about what your child is struggling with, and you can straight go to our courses, where at the top link that we have, and that's our course library. And here, I mean, very recently we've launched this new feature that you're seeing right now. So we have two options, and I'm working on the third one as well, and I'll touch on that a bit. But the first option is, and I heard it from moms and all, that they have a good idea. I mean, all parents do. That okay, my child is struggling with, let's say, like, making friends or making good decisions. We've listed a bunch of them here, and
Hmm.
you can select which you think is a challenge for your child. We need you to select 2 to 4, and then we would recommend you a plan. A plan is a combination of 4 courses. We feel like you can finish those 4 courses in a period of 3 to 6 months. That's a good sort of period where you will feel you've accomplished something. So this one, the recommendation is confident communicator. So this is the plan, and you can see the plan objectives and all, what this plan is trying to do, what challenges is this plan is addressing, why this plan was creating, and how it would help your child. So that's what this is. You can also go to straight to, okay, I want to teach my child self-confidence, I know, or relationship manage. Let's say, like, he's struggling making friends, relation, or you can, oh, you know what, conflict resolution is the one, or effective communication. You have a specific idea, then you would go to course library, and that's the second option that we have there. And then that radio button, yeah, this one. So here we are showing you, first, if you scroll down, the most popular courses should come up right away. Yeah, so this emotional you course, managing my emotions, and also emotional regulation. Then exploring you is the self-awareness course. So we show you, like, okay, so if you have a specific idea, okay, this is what I want for my child, you can just straight away, if you're a current member, you'll click on enroll now. If you want to sign up, you're a new person to the website, you'll just sign up on the website, create your account, and start taking the course. We give you 30-day free trial, because I'm confident it's not about, because a lot of platforms are doing, even with free trials, you're asked to put in your credit card information. As soon as your free trial ends, a lot of platforms have 14-day free trial. After 14 days, 15th day, your credit card is charged. I mean, yes, you can cancel it within those 14 days, but we don't do that. You can sign up without your credit card information. You have 30 days to do anything on the platform. All courses are open for you. I would highly recommend taking 1 or 2 courses in that 30-day trial period, because it's about immersing yourself or your child in that. And I would highly encourage parents to also go on that journey with your child, because it's all about experiencing that, what is child learning and all. There's so much of good stuff in these courses. And each course is tied to a skill. So if you see on the right side in that card, So this is that exploring you. It tells you it's a self-awareness course. On the one above, it tells you about self-management, that emotional view. As you scroll down, yeah, and then confidence you is about self-confidence. And then after you take those 30 days, that's when you decide whether I want to become a paid subscriber or not. After those 30 days, you still have access to the platform, but every course has 4 modules. The first module is going to be open for you forever, and then after that, if you want to take the other 3, then you'll have to become a paid subscriber to the platform. But that's how, more or less, we have like a ton of good resources in our blog section in under resources. If you want to go and read about what is holistic growth model, we talk about self-awareness, um, any skill that you think you want to learn on. There's this whole blog section which is just going to teach you that. Every course card is also telling you about what the objectives are for that course, and there's a lot more when you start taking the course inside each course. Our courses, I'll touch on that. There's nothing in our courses which is about passive consumptions or you just learn a concept. It's all about driving a behavioral change in your child. So
Yeah.
everything is practical, relatable, and fun.
Yeah.
Practical in the sense it's all scenario based. What we thought, okay, so on the one hand, I mean, this is way back when I was starting to think about, I had clear idea, okay, these skills are needed. Then how do I teach the self-awareness, for example? I keep going back to that. So I was talking to experts and all PhDs. I thought, okay, on the one end, you have a book or an article, if you're talking about an online system, um, and on the other end, you have video games. On this article side, book, you cannot hold a 10-year-old, 12-year-old's attention for more than 2 minutes. I mean, I'm stretching that, if that.
Hmm.
But on the video game side, you just can have them play for hours and hours. You'll have to pull them out of it, right? So I knew that I cannot be closer to this whole like bland sort of book with some pictures here and there. I have to be closer to that video game, but obviously not too gamified because I'm
Sure.
all about teaching these skills. So I thought stories can be that model. So teaching kids through a story and they can be engaged with that story. So that was the underlying thing. I dabbled and started with comic based courses. So that was my first attempt. So I developed 14 courses. Literally, you're flipping comic pages with those like colorful characters, thought bubbles, speech bubbles. They're talking to each other. Same model. It's a story, relatable characters. I wanted to make sure that the characters that we're using are of that right age group, so that a child, a learner who's looking at those characters, if there's a Sam in that course, they can quickly relate to, okay, he is like John in my class, or Amy in that course is like Sarah in my class. So when they make those connections, they would remember what they learned. So this story model and making it relatable was key thing. And in that story, we were trying to imagine what could be that real world situation that could be happening with these characters in the story, and how they would use self-awareness skill in that story to come
Yes.
up with a solution to whatever they were dealing with. So that is the model of all our courses. We go to extra length making sure that okay, these situations are relatable to this age group. Because yes, the next level is like pre-teens and teens and all, they'll have a very different. So I'm focused on right now 10 to 14. I want to make sure that we target and are able to help these kids. And my goal is to, so that's middle school bucket, and my goal is to grow into high school as well soon. um, and then eventually I want to cover elementary as well. But the reason why I chose high school to start with, because this is the first time when we are coming out of that parent-centered world, where parents are everything, that's our world, to a social-centered world,
Yeah.
where we look outside for validation, social proof, and all that kind of stuff. So middle school is very tough for these kids. They have to make those ton of those decisions, and they don't have any idea what's happening around them. They're very vulnerable at that time. You don't want them to be out in the wild. This world has its way of teaching them in many
Absolutely.
different ways. We want to at least provide them some framework, and that's what Bloomster's courses are trying to do. um, yeah, so that's
This
how
this is amazing. This is amazing,
mhm.
and that's why I wanted to bring it on the screen because
Thank
again,
you.
people, they have to understand, they have to see it. Like number one,
Yes.
and and we're going to get to the answer of the most profound question that I know some people are asking in the back of their mind right now. We're going to get there in a second. Just be patient with us. We're coming.
All
But
right.
this is like, as I look at this, as I go through this, I want people to understand we are these thing that's called human beings. We are
Right.
beings. What
Hmm.
happens is that your child comes into this world as a human being, and then society turns them into a human doing that is trying to be, and they're
Yeah.
so focused on the doing. Like if you go back and remember Knighton's story, he told you all of the wonderful things that he was doing, but that
Yeah.
emptiness that he was feeling is that the being in him was trying to come out. I need to express myself. I need to like
Right.
leave. I need to help people and so forth and so on. That's the being aspect of you. You
Yeah.
were created
Right.
to, you were created to help others. Well, he was
Yeah.
doing great stuff for City Banks, but at the end of
Yeah.
the day, Citibank is going to do great stuff anyway, whether he's there or not. Like, what
Right.
can I do to help others, so
Hmm.
forth and so on? And looking
Right.
at the manifestation of that is just amazing.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
I love. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and you said one thing. I want to go back to that. I think with your own child, you were talking about that there are like big misconceptions. One of them is that kids would just pick up these skills as the time goes on, as they grow. Yes, of course they would pick up, but then there's a lot of good and bad that they're going to pick up.
Right.
There's positive and negative they're going to pick up. They're so vulnerable, is what I'm trying to highlight here. You want to help them in a structured way, at least when they're starting. um, so that's one thing. The second big misconception is that's to your point, that they're too young to understand these concepts. But let me tell you, kids are incredibly smart. They will understand. Yes, as you were saying, they're not able to express it the way we do, but they understand everything.
Yep.
And the third big misconception is that, okay, online platform, how can you teach? And that's what I think is debunked by what we are trying to do here. Because I was looking at, okay, how as a parent I would teach stuff. So let's say I'm taking my child to a soccer game or like a football game, and there's basketball. There's something that happened, and there's a teaching moment that I feel like, okay, something that my child didn't do right or did right. Then I would take that opportunity, try to point that
Hmm.
and say, give a rationale behind why I think he did the right thing or she did not do the right thing, because they need to understand that. And that's how we learn.
Yeah.
We're trying to do exactly the same thing. So when I talked about scenarios, so after like looking at those some situations and all, even when I'm like, we're not even, I wouldn't say testing, but
Hmm.
we call them knowledge checks. It's basically again giving them a scenario that, okay, you've learned these you've watched these videos and all, 4 videos, those stories, animation videos. Now think of this scenario and put yourself in that scenario. What would you do in that situation? And they're presented with 3 options. Now there's no right and wrong answer. Like, in these soft skills, we kind of like think of it this way. There's one option which clearly, as a parent, I would think, okay, this is what my child should do in this situation. And there's one which is clearly, no, my child should not be doing this. And then there's one in the middle somewhere. It's not wrong, but I wouldn't recommend it. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way. So they need to understand what are those nuances, what's the rationale behind. So when they select any one of these, they are presented, we call them nuggets on the platform. It's
Hmm.
basically telling them, you did a great job if they got to the best answer right away. And here's why we think this is the best answer. So good job on that. If they didn't, they picked the one that we wouldn't recommend. Keep going. You know what? Like, this is the why. This is not the best answer. Attempt again. And then they would eventually get to the third answer, the right answer. So that's how practically we're trying to teach these kids.
Absolutely. I love
Yeah.
that because in essence,
Hmm.
the learning is not just a you know,
Hmm.
true or false, or it's not good or bad, or
Hmm.
you got it right or wrong. It's a progressive
Yes,
development into a higher version of themselves, and I love that.
absolutely. Yeah.
And if we don't give them, and
Hmm.
I tend to call them breadcrumbs sometimes. If we don't
Hmm.
give them the breadcrumbs to progression, they feel like
Hmm.
they failed in the beginning,
Hmm.
and they may not
Yeah.
necessarily be attracted back to the thing afterwards because they
Yeah.
look at it as total failure. But the only way they
Right.
look at it as total failure is that because I never originally taught them that it's not failing until you altogether quit. Look at what you
Yeah.
learned in the midst of not achieving the goal that you wanted to achieve. Then look at how you can apply what you learned. Then go back and do it again. And if you do it
Yeah.
again, now you'll do better than before, and you'll do better than before, and so forth,
Mm-hmm.
so forth. So I
Mm-hmm.
love the breadcrumbing aspect of it because
Yeah.
I get this. This makes perfect sense. And from a
Right.
human development standpoint, and just so you know, and I didn't share it with you previously, I was in the army for 24 years. And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, that burning desire started happening to me when I was in the army, but I had no idea what that was. And it was just
Yeah.
like continuing to be the, do all you can be, do all that you can do,
Mhm.
which was the motto of the army. It was like I'm
Yeah.
gonna do all I can do, but it's like I'm starting to feel empty. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And then because I did nothing about it, knitting, it started to
Mm-hmm.
over and it turned into what I tend to call like a toxic behavior. So I'm saying
Right.
that for those people out there, that burning desire, you can't leave it. You have to
Yeah.
do something with it. You have to
Mm-hmm.
allow it to come out and then go on this
Mm-hmm.
journey that Nitin
Mm-hmm.
talked about.
Right.
I want to transition
Absolutely.
real quick because
Mm-hmm.
I drive a Ford Ram, a Dodge Ram, right?
Uh-huh.
I have a 33-gallon tank, bro. And
All
I
right.
went to the gas station yesterday, and it literally cost me $78 to fill up.
All right.
I
All
said
right.
that. I said that for a reason because I
All
know
right.
somebody is already asking what's the price of this thing. I'm telling you
Mm-hmm.
right now, it will cost you less per month
Yeah.
on
Mm-hmm.
this system than it will to fill up my truck.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
literally, the family plan
Yeah.
will, is only a half a tank of gas for me. Now,
Yeah.
we got to
Yeah.
let that sink in because a
Right.
lot of times we tie what
Mm-hmm.
we do to what we can afford.
Yeah.
But if you have a higher sense of calling, what you
Yeah.
can afford
Yeah.
ultimately will yield to what
Mm-hmm.
you are called to do. So if you're
Absolutely.
doing
Yeah.
the thing that you're supposed to do, if I
Mm-hmm.
was gifted with a
Mm-hmm.
child and it's my
Mm-hmm.
charge to raise that child up in the ways that they should go, then what I can afford will yield to what I'm called to do because simply at the end of the
Yeah.
day, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'll be
Yeah.
completely honest with you, I have not seen a more holistic approach to child development than what I've seen on the Bloomster platform.
No, thank you very much for that. No,
Yes,
really
sir.
appreciate that. I think leaders like you and like people like me, if we collectively obviously push people to at least think, because I envision a world where parents are not looking at holistic education as an add-on to the academic stuff. I'd love to see a world where parents are obviously evaluating what the school is doing for in terms of academics, but also asking that question: what is this school doing for my child for this holistic development, these skills that we're talking about? Because both would be needed, even that it's needed now and into the future for sure. And even like on a day-to-day basis, I mean, I constantly see we're so first of all obsessed with those grades that we push our kids. Did you do your math homework? Did you do your
Yeah,
science homework and all? I think I want to see a world where we equally focused on, did you think about this skill or that skill, if it's effective communication, whatever that thing is. But we need to sort of encourage our children to also focus on that. And I think our collective work can help drive that thing. I hope we
absolutely.
all get there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, I want to see a world where you and I can sit back on the porch and sip our tea
Yeah.
because we are old and gray. Well, you're less gray than I am, brother, but we're old and gray and we're in our 70s and we can
Hmm.
see the results of stuff like this
Oh,
because
absolutely.
children who are taking it now will be
Uh-huh.
adults and we can see that
Yeah.
they're actually working toward a
Hmm.
better world to where we
Hmm.
as humanity
Hmm.
can exist together
Hmm.
in harmony. That's what I want to
Yeah.
see. Do I think I would
Absolutely.
do it in the next however many years I have remaining? I pray so. Um,
No, all we
yeah,
can do, Dwayne, is to just keep pushing the envelope. Yeah, keep in that direction. That's all. I start my day. That's what drives me every day. Okay, what am I doing today? How can I make a difference?
yes, sir.
And just keep doing it one day at a time. If the universe is with us, like obviously things will change. We'll see.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, because
yeah.
I want to make sure I honor your time, we're
Mhm.
coming close to the end. I want
Right.
to turn the floor over to you and kind of give us your last words. Like, what do you want to leave the people with?
No, I would highly encourage, and I as they say, it takes a village to raise a child, and that's absolutely true. It's not easy to raise a child, and I would Like, hats off to all moms, how they do it with work and managing kids and all. Because what I see and data is showing me that moms, I mean, dads are also involved, but I see a lot of moms signing up and they're very concerned about this kind of stuff for their children.
Yeah.
I would ask everyone to let Bloomster help you in that respect. Because my mission, as I said, is to continuously enhance our courses. If you truly believe that this holistic model and the way of thinking, helping your child, is what you want for your child, not just academics. And I'll repeat it: academics, essential needed, but let's complement that with this kind of education as well, so kids have that holistic perspective. I will, again, taking examples and being specific, help people to understand what I'm talking about. Think of your child, let's call it 11 or 12-year-old child.
Hmm.
They are asked to make several decisions in a day, middle school time period. That's all. It's a tough period for these kids, and they don't have a yardstick to evaluate how they're making decisions. And now imagine that your child has done this, what we do in the self-awareness courses, doing an inventory of your values and beliefs. And imagine your child doing it with you, because in our courses, in those modules, we have this model we call the module exercise, which is about it's a reflection time where whatever they have learned in the module, they reflect on it. And in a lot of them, we provide workbooks and all. And imagine your child coming to you, okay, what are our families and values and beliefs? Because when you are making decisions, it's very easy to say no to something, yes to something, when you know, okay, what matters to you, what are your values and all. So that is one thing. And think of your child when they know their strengths and weaknesses, because that's another thing that you do in the self-awareness. They won't label themselves if, let's say, they're not able to solve that maths problem because there's some other kid who's very good at it. They'll think of it, okay, it's a something that I just need to learn, without thinking, okay, there's something wrong with them. So these kind of things would help your child. I would ask you to learn about our courses. Go to our website. As I said, there are a lot of blogs also to learn about what this holistic model is. There's a very interesting, I think it was back in August and all, where it talks about this whole SEL framework. And this is not
Hmm.
something that we created. It's this, there are standards out there. One of them very known in the education world is CASTLE framework. It's collaborative for academic, social, emotional learning. And they have a very beautiful framework of 5 core competencies: self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision making, relationship skills, and social awareness. That's how they've defined this SEL framework. And
Hmm.
as I said, SEL is good. The world is already looking in that direction, but I feel there's more needed. That's why I have these other 3 dimension: intellectual, mindfulness, and physical as well. That's our model. But if you want to learn about at least those 5 core competencies, we have one-to-one, like all these skills on the platform. At least start there. Start somewhere, explore the platform, and see if you like that. I mean, it's worth giving it a shot. And back to your point where you're talking about the gas, the way I thought about that, Dwayne, when I go and get a salad, and the salad freaking costs me $17, for one lunch, and
Right.
we're talking about like monthly at $90. So, I mean, there's no thinking. And if you're like really interested, Dwayne, oh, I should have done that with you before this session. If your audience needs some sort of discount and all, I can create some promo codes and all and send it over to you so you can distribute it to your audience if they want to sign up and get some discounts. Happy to do that so people can get started with this.
You know what?
So,
I will. I will. I receive that, and I'll match that.
okay,
So I would like that. And when you
great.
do, the first
Mm-hmm.
person who can send me, they can send me the email, and YouTube
Mm-hmm.
backstage don't count, by the way. They can send me the email. The first person who can send me an email and tell me where you were when you
Uh-huh.
realized like what the students were going through when they were
Uh-huh.
drawing their sketches for their dresses, I will
Uh-huh.
gift them 3 months of this program out of my own
Okay.
pocket simply because I believe in it that much. I
Yeah.
think children legitimately
Mm-hmm.
need this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
can't. I, I'm sold, and I don't even
Yeah.
have kids.
Yeah.
Like my kids are adults. My youngest child is 20 years
Yeah.
old. My oldest is
Yeah.
31.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, this is. I think
Yeah.
this is, and I love the fact
Mm-hmm.
that you said don't just turn it over to your child. Like, you work with
Yes.
them
Yeah.
in this, because I have a
Mm-hmm.
philosophy that parents learn a lot from their children. Like, I know most of us
Oh,
believe we're,
absolutely.
we're
Mm-hmm.
teaching our children. No, you're
Mm-hmm.
teaching your child, but your child is teaching you a lot about you in the midst of doing so.
Oh, absolutely.
So I just want to
Absolutely.
add that to it. Um,
Yeah.
Knighton, this has been a sheer honor. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Nitin. I told you I'm from Georgia. I apologize.
Yeah.
Um, Nitin, this has been an honor to be able to sit
No,
here and share this conversation with you, to
absolutely.
help us go through the platform. I give myself a C minus for driving,
Yeah.
because I wasn't doing that good, but I still
No,
think.
I mean, you did great. I mean, I'm really excited that we did this, and then obviously happy to do it sometime again in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would love to do that. I would love to
Yeah.
do that, because I want to get into, and I can ask it now, but I'll save it for that.
Mhm.
I want to get into a lot of the feedback that you're receiving. I want to
Yeah.
give you some of the feedback from the people who on our platform that have
Uh-huh.
participated in it, because I'm going
Uh-huh.
to ask them right now. Make sure that you send the feedback here, because
Uh-huh.
I want to be able to not only celebrate them, but sir, I want to celebrate you. So thank you for
Oh,
being here, and
thank
man,
you.
again, you're awesome. You're a rock star. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right.
Yes, sir. So that being said, listen, as always, my name is Dwayne Dwight. I go by the Mindset Coach, and for our special guest, Mr. Nitin Gower, founder and CEO of Bloomster. You guys continue to have an awesome day, and let the best version of yourself be a blessing to somebody else. And we will see you again soon.